Welcome to Worldwide News. I'm Dave Barisha.
And I'm Paul Salazar.
Live from New York City, today we'll be discussing the horrors of human trafficking, specifically child labor in Asia. Can you elaborate on that, Paula?
Yes, thank you. Human trafficking can be considered as the recruitment of persons by means of threat or force. An underlying problem of human trafficking is the illegal employment of children or forcing children to work.
The use of child labor violates children's rights and many laws forbidding this system.
Asia Pacific is home to the highest rates of child labor. Of the 168 million children trapped in modern-day slavery, 77.8 million child laborers are located in Asia.
Of those 78 million children involved, this group includes girls, migrants trapped in debt, people with limited rights, and farm workers who are paid little to no money.
These children often work in agriculture, mines, fields, and factories. They work long hours under harsh conditions. These children usually go into work to support their families financially.
Gangs also kidnap children and force them to work.
Why don't we switch gears to the Philippines, where Cheryl is reporting a story about child labor.
Lost in the green sugarcane field, the red hat of a little boy bobs as he works. Pulling weeds, tilling the soil, barefoot. 7 hours a day in the scorching heat of the Philippines. Dante Campolan is 14. He's been working in the field since he was just 7. It's very hard to work here, he says. I'd rather go to school. Next to him, 13-year-old Alvic James, who dropped out of school when he was in the first grade so he could work.
Why are so many children working in the fields?
To earn money, he says, so we can buy food for our families. But it's illegal for children their age to work such long hours.
Thanks, Cheryl, for that report.
A major cause of child labor is the lack of education. They are forced to work on fields, working long hours for many days. These children spend their days working on fields, in factories, or in mines without receiving an education. Those millions of children who aren't in school are prone to the risk of human trafficking and child labor.
Cheap labor is one of the main causes of child labor. Large corporations and businesses illegally hire children since they are paid less than adults. Companies based in Asia, including Foxconn, Samsung, and Apple, have been reported for illegally hiring children. Child laborers are extremely prevalent in the fashion industry. Children can be found harvesting and producing cotton, spinning yarn, and even sewing clothing together. Children must work long hours and don't even get paid minimum wage. In most cases, children are only paid a couple of dollars a week. Children also receive harsh treatment from their employers. If they don't meet certain quotas, they will be beaten and harassed. They can also get beaten and yelled at for making mistakes in the production of the product.
Poverty, too, is one of the biggest causes of child labor. Families that can't make enough money to survive send their children out to work in order to get money. This trend of parents sending their children away for work is common in impoverished regions of the world.
Lastly, another cause of child labor is debt from parents. Oftentimes, parents are in debt they can no longer repay, and the only person that can pay it off are the children. The children are stuck working in order to pay off debt so their families will not suffer any consequences.
Child labor is not a new problem. It dates back to earlier times. There's been traces of child labor dating back from the Industrial Revolution. Along with the industrialization of Western democracies in the early 18th century, the amount of underage workers began to increase. Children often worked for hours in dangerous factory conditions for little to no pay. Children were very useful as laborers because their size allowed them to work in small spaces where adults couldn't fit. Children were easier to control and could be paid less than adults. These children worked to help support their families and were forced to give up their education, one of the reasons why child labor occurs in the first place.
Many reformers wanted to improve conditions and restrict child labor, but it wasn't until the Great Depression that the public agreed with the reformers' ideas. Americans needed all available jobs to go to adults rather than the children. Codes developed by the National Industrial Recovery Act served to reduce child labor. The Fair Labor Standard Act of 1938 set a national minimum wage and maximum hour standards. It also placed limitations on child labor, and unemployment of children under 16 became illegal. Although the United States has legally recognized this problem, that is not the case for many countries in Asia. This is such a huge problem because the welfare of millions of children are being disregarded.
To prevent further child labor in their company, Samsung established a code of conduct for suppliers that follows standards set by the Electronic Industry Citizenship Coalition. The company also asked suppliers to sign a compliance agreement. Samsung also adopted a strict hiring process. Suppliers are forced to use scanners to detect fake IDs and must have face-to-face interviews in order to make sure no underage children are employed. An advantage to this solution is that Samsung is such a huge corporation that it makes people aware of this problem. Another advantage to the solution is that Samsung is adopting strict precautionary methods in order to avoid illegal employment. However, this solution is extremely specific and only applies to one company. Millions of other children will still have to live in forced labor. This solution does not help or aid other children other than the ones working for their company.
According to our sources, another solution is taking place in Southeastern Asia. India is working alongside the International Labour Organization in order to end child labor in their country. The ILO is dedicated to advocate social justice and internationally acknowledge human and labor rights. India will ratify 6 of 8 ILO fundamental conventions. They are also taking steps towards eliminating the worst forms of child labor for children 18 and younger. The ratification will have opportunities to fight against child labor. In addition, India set out to improve this problem by passing a new law in July of 2016. The law was set out to ban children under the age of 14 from any work. Prior to this new law, the old law banned children under 14 only from jobs that seemed dangerous. Though this is a step towards limiting the use of child labor, the law doesn't stop other companies from continuing to use children. An advantage to this solution is that an entire country is working with the help of an outside organization to end such a horrific problem. Although India is accepting the help of the ILO, they can also deny their help. Possible corruption and close ties between companies and the Indian government could put an end to the programs the ILO set place in India.
Organizations like the ILO, UNICEF, and the UN are working collaboratively in order to help children around the world. In order to tackle the problem of child labor, UNICEF and its partners work to strengthen laws and policies regarding the issue, improve government and community-based structures and services, and encourage positive social change. The ILO created a campaign against child labor. Their goal was to get worldwide approval on a minimum working age for children. They want to limit the use of child labor as much as possible. In 1996, the International Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights ordered the members to criminalize the employment of children under conditions that greatly affect their morals or health. The overall message in the movement was that children have the right to protection and that they shouldn't be performing jobs that are dangerous and that will interfere with a child's education, physical, and emotional health. Clear messages and laws that denounce child labor can contribute to massive changes in social standards. These laws can change the discrimination and teach the world about the negatives of child labor. These laws will help keep children safe from exploitation. Free and obligatory education up to the minimum employment age is a vital action that must be taken for countries to battle child labor.
The ILO encourages countries to include education for all initiatives. The ILO IPEC goal is to integrate child labor issues into national development frameworks. This will prioritize child labor as a national issue. This solution offers countries the best aid in order to end this problem. These organizations get countries and governments involved in order for the strongest effect and impact. The education offered through UNICEF and the ILO could further prevent children falling to victims of forced labor. Although there has been a stable decline in child labor, the progress is way too slow. At the rate the decline is going at, more than 100 million children will still be trapped in child labor by 2020. This is a major disadvantage to the solution. No matter how quickly people are working, there will always be a child that is in desperate need of help. Despite this horrendous problem, people around the world are working together in order to put an end to child labor. Although many laws protect underage children from working, companies continue to violate these laws because of the cheap labor. Fortunately, the ILO, UN, and UNICEF are working cooperatively in the most effective way in order to help these children. People must work together in order to end such a terrible problem. Illegal child labor and forced labor robs children of their rights and their childhood. Millions of children miss out on so many opportunities because they are bonded to labor.
The children who labor in these fields produce the sugar sold on the global market. From there, it ends up on your kitchen table, your morning coffee. It's even in this bottle of Coke.
I wish I could go to school, but I need to make money to buy food for my family.
When Parity's father got very sick 5 years ago, he eventually passed away, and she was left with a mountain of debt and 4 girls to raise. So they came to the brick factory 3 years ago, and Parity went to work to help them survive.
I don't know what to do. I just want my daughter to be able to go to school and to be educated so she doesn't have to work in the brick factory like me.
Parity dreams of becoming a teacher. But if she can't go to school, that's impossible.
I'm afraid that I won't be able to work enough. We owe other people lots of money. I work from 6 in the morning until 6 at night, but we still don't have enough food.
It's hard to believe the weight of worry on this tiny girl's shoulders.
Now that you've been exposed to the truth behind such a malicious industry and terrible problem, take it upon yourself to take action. To help improve a child's life, visit StopChildLabor.org to donate today. Also, help by signing petitions to raise awareness. Helping in any way can make a huge difference and can change a child's life. Simply go to the website and follow these steps.